everybody, this is Riannah Avora. I'm here with Ilyra Chardin, and we have a brand new set here at TheARTer. I hope you like it. It is a work in progress, so.
We are here with Frank Atisso. He's the owner, founder, and curator of Art Korner SL, which is a gallery and a blog regarding the arts in Second Life. He has a website, artkornersl.com, and you can find him on Facebook as well at Art Korner SL. He's also an art columnist for 360 Gradi magazine. So, Frank, can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been on Second Life and how long you've been involved in the art community on Second Life?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank you both for inviting me on this show. It's really a great honor for me. So I logged into Second Life in 2010, in February 2010 actually. I used to visit a lot of art exhibitions in I think the first couple of years I was here. But I was always a passive observer. In fact, I've been a passive observer for a majority of my Second Life in most cases. I only actively started doing something last year when I returned after almost a 4-year break. And last year I actually rediscovered photography and art in SL. And since then I've been involved in the art community for almost a year now.
So, Frank, we wanted to ask you, what do you think your biggest challenge in Second Life has been, and how did you overcome it?
Right. So when I logged on to Second Life, I was not aware there was so much to explore here. I logged on because I thought it was a game, and it seemed nice to try out different clothes and dance and ballrooms and stuff like that. So things which you might not be able to do in real life. But I had no idea about photography, art. I had no idea about the creativity that people have in SL and the things you can create here. So one of my challenges in SL as such was that I would say it's not a challenge, it's rather a regret that I did not come across creativity until it was a bit too late, I think, before I got involved in a lot of things in SL during my first 4 years, but I would have loved to actually create something and try my hand at building or even at Blender, and that is something I think I missed out on.
It's never too late to start.
Yeah, I know it's never too late, and there are a lot of things to explore, and I really try to hold myself back because you just try to do everything and then everything comes crashing down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, building.
So right now I'm just focused on Art Korner as such.
Right.
But someday perhaps I'd like to try my hand out at building more. I think the biggest challenge in when starting Art Korner is actually contacting people and and trying to bring people together on a single platform, because that has actually been one of the main motivations behind me starting Art Korner. There's no single platform where I see art galleries collaborating together uh, uh, and working together as a community rather than as individual spaces by themselves. So that is the entire concept of Art Korner is geared towards achieving this end. because firstly I have the if you go to my page, there is a events calendar. I think you both might have looked at it.
I have. I use it.
Yeah,
Yes,
Rihanna has, I know.
I have
uh,
too, and I think it's excellent.
yeah, I mean, if there, there are like 8 or 10 different art groups, probably more, and it's impossible for everyone to follow each of them. I mean, I do because it's that is where I get my information from. But for a commoner, it's for someone who's not as involved in the art, it's it's important that he or she gets their information in one single place, and that is the uh, main objective I have behind starting Art Corner.
Yeah, actually, there's I would I would estimate there's hundreds of art groups. Actually,
I'm sure, yeah,
there's a lot, but and they art groups are kind of like they're not really they're not really aware of each other. It seems, you know.
yeah, and
It's
and
true.
some of the art groups, they have been started like maybe 8 years ago or something,
Right.
and probably the owners or the moderators, whoever they have probably left Second Life as well.
Well, some of them just are not aware that there are other, you know, aspects of the art community. And when I go to the SL search engine a lot and search for art groups under
Right.
the groups, and I find a lot, actually. And when I join those groups and talk to people in those groups, they're like, hey, we didn't even know this part of SL art existed. They're,
Right, so it's not it's a pretty divided world right now, and I try my best to try to get everything in one place. I myself go through around 8 to 10 different art groups and try to dig up different exhibits and try to feature as many as I can.
yeah, yeah, that's great, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
we need more people to kind of conglomerate things, I'm not saying a single source, I'm just saying to have things grouped together a little bit better.
Another thing that would really help is the timings of the various art openings. I
Yes.
can see there are a lot of clashes, even though that need not be the case. We can just have our openings at different times so people can attend all the openings
Right.
if
We
possible.
we talked about that a lot in a prior segment, and a lot of
Right.
people agree that it would be better if we could kind of uh, organize things better to not have conflicting events at the same time.
Right. So I just I have a galleries page on my blog, and I just redid it a few days back, and now it shows the logos of several galleries. I plan to extend it even further and keep it updated with the exhibitions that are currently on at the different galleries, so that people can just click on that logo and they'll know what are the exhibitions that are on in that particular gallery.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is very segmented, I find. And
Right.
what Rihanna said, the groups are not aware. If the group sprung from it started with musicians and flowed into artwork, they tend to have one community that's different from, say, another community. And some of the communities are segmented geographically.
I think
Uh,
even I think there are very few communities which are actually um, bound together. I'd say because even when it even where live music is concerned,
Mhm.
that there's no one single group. There are like 30 or 35 groups
Right.
with which,
That's right. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I think as far as groups are concerned, that thing is never going to go away because uh, these groups already exist. It's not like people are going to delete them. Uh, but if there is a website where you can actually go and check up the events calendar, which is updated constantly, and it is up to date with at least 90% of the events, people might prefer to look at that website rather than dig through hundreds of groups.
Right.
uh, just like it is happening with shopping. For example, there are websites like Seraphim which are doing really well because people don't want to dig through hundreds of groups anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's true.
Yeah,
Well, SL limits us to how many groups we can have, so we're not going to hear about
yeah,
everything in world that's going on. So you have to turn to external sources.
yeah.
What made you start the magazine Art Corner?
So writing something about Second Life or doing a blog about Second Life has always been on my agenda. Ever since I discovered uh, that this place is there's always new things happening here, and people need to know about them. And blogs and websites, they play a very big role in getting the word out to people. But I think I just needed, that motivation to actually start doing something, and I think I got it at the beginning of this year. Uh, when some of my friends they actually encouraged me to, and also helped me to start Art Corner. I started it in March. We launched it on 5th of March actually, and it has been going well since.
Why the art community as opposed to, well, although musicians are artists as well, but as opposed
Right.
to, music or writers, or why did you focus in on the visual arts?
The reason I actually got, uh, I think photography and art is playing a major role, especially in the times of the pandemic. Photography and art in SL, I mean, many people are still stuck in their homes because of lockdowns all over the world, and photography in SL is a very important and a very good creative medium for people to explore their creativity. Also, in RL, I have a job which is as far away from art as can be. I am a physicist, so I'm not at all connected to art. I mean, I do take photographs. I'm as a hobby, but not a full-time photographer as such. So it really inspired me to actually get into photography in SL, and that is the reason I actually want to inspire others as well to get into photography. I think it's a very good creative medium which you can explore right from your home.
Yes, Second Life is awesome for that.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what's the most positive aspect of art in SL?
Right. So a lot of people have really great imagination and creativity, um, but they lack a medium. Some people are just not skilled enough to. They have not been painting or drawing or sketching since childhood, and uh, they just don't have the. They just don't have the knowledge to do such things. But once you enter Second Life, you can actually create your own world here. You can
Mm-hmm.
create scenes, you can explore different landscapes, and you can actually uh, express yourself through the photography and art you create in Second Life. I know I've talked to a lot of artists about this, and I think you both might have as well. Uh, Second Life has played a very big role in helping people through. some really dark times in their life. And photography, it also helps people focus, and it is almost like a meditation for some people as well, because when you start to take a photograph, all you are focused on is in what is in your lens, and everything else is immaterial to you. So that gives you a very good creative outlet and a relief from all the other worries you might have in real life.
I agree.
Yes, that's an awesome part of the art. The creation of it, yeah, allows you
Right.
to kind of escape, if you
I
would.
think another positive aspect is that you, as a viewer, you get a lot of you get a very different you get a lot of perspectives about a particular situation. I mean, viewing a work of art is almost like conversing with an artist, where he or
Hmm.
she is
Hmm.
uh, saying something, and seeing something through their art, and you are the one at the receiving end of it, and when that connection happens, it's just magic.
I find that too. I like to wander through museums now in Second Life as well, but I used to in
Right.
real life, for years and years, and be drawn into a single work of art and just stand there and take it
Right.
in for a really long time, as opposed to just wanting to see the whole museum. Sometimes you're drawn to
Yeah,
that, and I guess. Mhm.
sometimes it's just you can sometimes a piece just draws you in, that you're able to stand there and look at it for like half an hour.
Right, 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 and feel the emotion and the movement
Right.
and
Right.
yes.
And for others, there are also a lot of exhibits which are really informative. For example, London's exhibit, which happened, I think, a couple of months back at United Artists. It was a very informative exhibit, and also very entertaining, because it told you a lot of stories, a lot of information about Greek mythology.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was very well done, Bill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So I think surprisingly, RL has the most influence on SL, because most people come into SL to actually break free from RL, but I don't think it's possible to ever completely break free from your RL. You always carry over some of the positive thoughts or negative thoughts, or any of the worries you have in RL. Some of them you always tend to carry over into SL. So even if you're doing uh, art in SL, whatever's going on around you in RL, maybe it's a bad political situation, maybe it is news you're hearing, something going on in your family, it is going to affect your art in some way. It is very hard to not let it affect your art in some way. I feel so, because I was talking to an artist a couple of months back, I think, and she told me uh, the biggest challenge for her in actually during this pandemic is to maintain the positivity in her art, when the when RL is becoming so negative.
Yes. So you think
Yeah,
that real life has the most influence over Second
of
Life
course.
for each person? Yeah.
It differs from person to person, but I think a majority of the art in SL or RL is inspired by things happening around the artist in his real life.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some cases in which Second Life itself also inspires an artist. For example, uh, if you see a nicely made installation in Second Life, and uh, you can get inspiration from that and create something of your own.
Mm-hmm.
That is possible as well. So someone else's creativity can inspire your creativity.
Oh,
That is possible too.
oh, for sure. Yes. That happens a lot, actually.
Yeah, you tend to get inspired when you go to an art gallery.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Always.
Sure.
So we were speaking about real life, and then I wondered, are there real life artists that have inspired you and influenced you, maybe also were a reason that you got into photography and art in Second Life, promoting art and working on photography.
Yeah. So I there are a lot of real life artists I do admire, but if you if you're asking if they are what inspired me to get into Second Life photography, uh, I would say not really, because I started Second Life photography actually because I was inspired by many of the SL photographers or artists whose work I saw on Flickr and at various places in within SL. So I had this. So till last year, I had a slight block against Photoshop. I had I was scared of it literally uh, because I had failed. I had tried to do something with it few years back, and I was not able to. So I had a slight block against Photoshop.
And
But then last, yeah, but then
Photoshop can be very intimidating.
yeah, to a beginner, it is very intimidating. So then a friend suggested I try GIMP last year. So I started editing photos in GIMP first, and then I moved to Photoshop actually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I still use GIMP on a lot of photos I do take now as well, because sometimes, so what happens when you're running a blog, you need to do like edit maybe 10 photos in a day, and you can't really spend an hour on each photo or half an hour on each photo even. You
Right.
need a quick way to make your photos look good without actually spending a lot of time on them. So that is where I decided in I think July last year, I think 1 year back, that I would do a photo every week in SL, every month, sorry, every day in SL, and since then, I have been doing pretty much a photo every day in SL.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That
and
is.
it also helps you kind of uh, rework your technique to such a stage that now I know a quick series of steps that I need to do that will make almost any photo look good.
You should do an annual thing that a prem or a bunch of prems and link them all together and have all your photos for that year on them.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
That
I can think about it.
that
So,
would be cool.
there is a challenge that people do in real life called the 365-day photo challenge,
Mm-hmm. I've seen
and
that.
yeah, it for the challenge you have been given a theme each day,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to stick to the theme. I didn't do it as per theme as such, but I did do one photo every day in SL.
That's great. Where do you see the arts in SL going in the future?
So I think currently the SL art scene is doing well, and I think it will do even better in the future, because there are a lot of people who are getting inspired into photography and art, especially during this last year. And I think a lot of people have been inspired by the work of many artists and photographers in SL, and they're adding to the creativity and the beautiful artwork that we are seeing. There are new artists exhibiting at many art galleries every week, and that is a very good sign that we are heading towards a more creative SL in the future.
Yes.
And there are a lot of new artists who are doing uh, really creative stuff. Um, for example, uh, there political art is something I've not seen a lot in SL, but just a couple of days back, I was at a gallery and I saw an exhibit about political art. So people are uh, also experimenting different genres that have not been seen before in SL, and it's always a good thing.
You need to go to Chuck's.
Yeah, Chuck has a number of political
Yeah, I've
expressions.
seen that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Not his art per se, but artists that he hosts.
Yeah. It's around you. It's. I think people tend to be a bit fearful with political art because I think they're afraid
exactly.
they'll
Yeah. The,
alienate people.
I think it's possible to do a political art installation or an exhibition without actually hurting anybody else. It's just a different political view
Hmm.
you might have, but I think people are mature enough to understand that.
You have at your gallery a mix of artists, and I know that you did something in conjunction with Rainbow Painters.
Yeah. So,
What is your setup there? What do you prefer? How do you prefer to have artists exhibit? Do you like doing a collaboration with another gallery, or do you seek artists on your own?
right. So the first exhibit that I had at Art Corner was actually an art collection that Timo and Patience had collected over many years. Some artists are, I think, uh, even not in SL anymore, and but their art is always it's going to be here forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, Timo, this exhibit actually came. There's a very nice story behind it. Uh, when I actually started Art Corner, on the ground I had a two-story building, and on the ground floor of the building I had set up um, different books about the various articles on my blog. Uh, and on the upper floor, it was totally empty because there was actually nothing there. So when Timo came to actually visit my place, he saw that the upper floor is actually empty, and he asked me what I plan to do with it. Uh, I told him I'm a bit occupied with Art Corner at the moment, with my blog at the moment, but I'll think about how to fill this up when the time comes.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, my focus is on the blog. So he said, I have me and Patience, we have a lot of our art collection uh, that is just lying in our on our platform, and if you want to, do a small exhibition at your place. And so I always wanted to ensure that the exhibit I have at Art Corner is informative and people can take something away
Mm-hmm.
from their visit. So, I, so we kind of decided on which artworks we are going to put up, how we are going to design the exhibition. And then I realized, he has a lot of artwork, so I made a bigger gallery for him upstairs on a platform in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
and that is how it came about. Yeah.
Cool. I think that's awesome. I
Yeah,
really.
but going further, um, I think this is not going to be the end of it because I have a new exhibition coming up next month. So mostly all the artists I'll be contacting
Mm-hmm.
are going to be pretty much new artists who are doing their first or maybe second, third exhibitions,
Mm-hmm.
and not someone who has been in art for years or so.
Right. So you're seeking
So
out new 2D artists.
yeah, mostly 2D, but I also got one of the artists. She wanted to, along with her 2D art, she wanted to exhibit an installation that she's making. So
Mm-hmm.
it might be a mix of it as well.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Do you find it difficult to engage
And
artists
yeah,
or
so
is
about these new artists actually, these are so when as I was connecting these artists, I was also simultaneously talking to some of the older artists about it and the more experienced artists who have been exhibiting about, because what happens is there are photographers in SL and they're really good photographers who can take really good photos. They are good at editing, they are good at making standalone images, showing stories through their images and making really emotional images, but they have no idea how to construct an exhibit as
Right.
such. They are good at making standalone pictures, but they are uh, not good at bringing together an exhibit. That's a totally different thing. So for that, I actually approached some of the more experienced artists, and they they were really happy to help. And some of them are also working in collaboration with these artists to help them out.
Oh, that's great.
that's
Yeah.
excellent.
Kind of like a mentor kind of thing.
Yeah, that was the idea behind this actually.
Mhm.
Well, my gallery, it hasn't really started yet, so not many artists are seeking me out right now because nobody really knows it's going to happen still. But once it does happen and a lot of new artists start exhibiting their work, I'm sure a lot of others will start contacting me on their own, and I'll be happy to help them.
Well, we absolutely wish you the best of luck with that.
Yes.
I think that the calendar and the communications that you've started are really helping the community as a whole.
Yes.
Thank you.
All blogs, really regarding the art community and highlighting artists and galleries. I think anything like that is an asset.
And there are a lot of uh, art shows as well happening in the coming months, and I think they are also really interesting. It would be really interesting to see them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Frank, I wanted to ask you because you had mentioned how much work you're doing on blogs and you're working for 360 Gradi magazine. Is that something that's new for you, writing, or something that you've been doing for a while?
Well, the writing is not really new because so firstly, I've always been an avid reader all my life. Right from childhood, I used to read a lot of books. My father had a huge art collection, and I used to read almost a book every week, so around 50 to 60 books every year. I used to easily read them, mostly novels, but some other non-fiction writings as well. And eventually, when you read that much, eventually somewhere you get the urge to start writing, creating your own stories. Um, so it was, I think, in my teens that I started creating short stories and writing them down. Um, they were pretty dumb short stories at the at that time, but it was a start, and it eventually led me to uh, create my own blog in uh, when I was 18 or 19. And after that, I have been writing. Um, I've been maintaining a journal for myself for quite a long time, and I think the only break I've had from writing was the past 3 years, I think. Um, so this was like a re-entry into writing for me. But as such, writing is not something that is new for me, and I realized I've been getting better at it as I keep on writing, and the articles are coming out faster. I don't have to uh, proofread them as many times as I used to for my first article. So it all starts to come back as you keep on writing.
Yeah.
And that's great. So, when you were writing short stories, well, actually, do you think you'll ever get back into writing short stories? Or are you more interested now in blogging and providing it from, nonfiction?
Well, it's a very different kind of writing when you come to short stories or novels. For that, you have to completely create a new world for any kind of a story. If it's a fictional world, then you have to create your own world and then start writing based on the characters you create in that world. Uh, I do have some characters. I still remember some. I do have some of my old writings still, but as far as whether I'll be doing that again, uh, I'm not so sure because it takes a lot of patience and a lot of time to actually create a simple short story. And once you get older, you don't really have the patience or the time. It's difficult to find it to write a short story or a novel. Uh, I find that even in reading, my tastes have changed these days. I'm not able to read a complete novel these days. I find myself reading more of magazine articles or short articles, maybe 10-20 pages. But novel, it's been quite a while since I read a novel as well.
Because of the demands on your time.
Yeah, not just on demands of my time, but I think that it is also a faster pace of life now that I'm living in,
Right.
and that also has an effect on your reading.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who lead fast-paced lives and still keep the habit of reading, but uh, I am not one of them, I think.
All right. We want to thank Frank for hanging out with us today and thank all you guys for checking out the show.
We'll be back in another month with a new episode of the SL Theater, Theater of the Arts here in Second Life. Thank you so much.
Have a good day, everybody.